Welcome to Let Me Catch You Up, the podcast where I explain reality TV to my husband.
And I ask a lot of questions.
I'm Liz, a longtime Bravo watcher who's been following Summer House for years.
And I'm Pat, a casual observer who's been in the room, sometimes paying attention.
Each week, we're recapping the latest episode of Summer House, breaking down the drama, the relationships, and everything you might have missed. Whether you've watched every episode,
or you're just trying to keep up,
we're here to catch you up. Let's get into it. Okay. How are you doing?
A lot going on.
Yeah, so this week there was a lot more discourse and the cast was busy. It's hard to keep up.
Yeah. Sorry, I'm thinking of West being busy. Yeah.
Like getting busy?
Yeah, that's where my head was at. But yeah, lots of stuff going on.
I have a long list of things. I don't think we can touch on everything, but a couple different updates from the week. So this feels like a month ago, but I think at the middle of last week, right after last week's episode aired, Lindsay was featured in this Reality Vulture article about different reality stars. So her, Kyle, and Carl appeared at the event, and Kyle ended up DJing, and they all looked great, and it was kind of like Lindsay on one side of Kyle, Carl on the other, and they were kind of like, oh, family's back together. In general, they've been doing a lot of press, like over the last week also for In the City, but it seems like Carl and Lindsay are also getting along better and being friendlier, especially based on Carl's comments in the first few minutes of Watch What Happens Live tonight. So that's nice. They are the three original castmates.
Yeah, it seemed like when Lindsay was on Watch What Happens Live, she was still kind of poking at him and stuff like that, but it seemed like it was pretty much just in good fun. So
yeah. And then a couple big things for Ciara this week. So it's been announced that she's going to be hosting the Love Island USA After Sun show. So co-hosting an after show for Love Island. She was also in an Old Navy ad that Paris Hilton and Rob Roush were also in. So I've been seeing a couple different cuts of that ad. Her reunion look dropped. So everybody's reunion looks dropped today. I saw that, but hers dropped a couple days early as well. So we saw that a little bit earlier in the week. She looks amazing as usual.
Yeah.
And one of the big things this past week was this woman, Jen Fessler, a former Real Housewife of New Jersey cast member. She was being interviewed on some red carpet or something, and she was strangely going hard for West. I actually saw the clip later of the interview, and she was kind of oh, we love Ciara, but he's just a puppy dog. I don't really think he did anything wrong. All this weird stuff. And then somebody posted on Threads, it's weird how she's kind of defending West here. And Ciara commented, yeah, because he slept with her too.
So when I saw the actual clip, I thought the clip was on its own weird at worst, but wouldn't have thought anything crazy about it. But all the drama that ensued after Ciara's comment is wild.
Yeah, because then Jen was oh, haha, flattering that anyone would think West would want to sleep with me. And then even West, he was at a wedding this weekend, and he posted that meme of the woman in front of all the math formulas, kind of trying to make sense, interesting news to me or whatever. But all the Bravo diehards kind of went to work and pulled up all this footage where prior, West was asked to Watch What Happens Live, the oldest woman he's hooked up with, and he said a woman in her 50s, and some of the details kind of matched with her. And then she also had previously said West was her hall pass, or that had been discussed. And then
husband even said something it's okay, I don't care if you sleep with West.
No, she said something happy anniversary. I would stay with you even if you slept with Amanda or West.
Yeah.
Which
was that after
so bizarre.
The West and Amanda stuff came out?
I guess, I think that was more recent.
It's pretty bizarre.
But I also saw a clip from Daisy from Below Deck Sailing Yacht on her podcast from 2025. I'm assuming with her co-host discussing West, and they were kind of oh, do I get the appeal or not get the appeal? And then the guy, the co-host said, "Oh yeah, I know a housewife has slept with him." And he was like, "I'm not going to say who, but it's an East Coast one." And then Daisy's like, "Okay, so it's in the New Jersey cast because you know all of them." And he was kind of like, "I'm not saying anything." So there's a lot of evidence pointing that it's true. And then Jen was like, "Oh, actually, it's kind of messed up that you would say this thing that's not true." And she was kind of like posting on her Instagram, like, "I could take legal action against this libel." And then Ciara just like doubled down on her post and was like, "Don't fuck with me," basically.
Yeah, it's wild. I mean, when I first saw the clip, my thought was, why go out of your way to defend this person? Like just kind of stay out of it and stuff like that. But then it spiraled into something that's way more interesting than just that. So
yeah,
it's not just a hot take.
I'm guessing Ciara has the receipts. The fact that she's like going so hard. And then there was like a bunch of clips of like West with his like arm around her at BravoCon and stuff. So there's a lot, where there's smoke, there's fire.
Yeah. Yeah.
Can't believe anything West says at this point. So
no, definitely don't believe West. And I do believe Ciara. Like I don't think she's going out of her way to just post random fabricated things.
Yeah.
So pretty crazy.
So yeah, that was some juicy drama. And then they had like NBC upfronts this week. So there's a couple of like things yesterday or today coming up where like Bravo confirmed Summer House season 11 is going to happen. So we will have Summer House again. We weren't sure if the show is going to survive, but it seems it will continue. So
yeah, I'm actually kind of surprised. I was getting convinced that it was not coming back, but
I'm not so surprised that Summer House is coming back. I think because of all this interest, they're going to at least try to milk it for another season.
True. Yeah, I think we all want to see single Kyle next season.
Yeah.
So
it was interesting. He was on the Trading Secrets podcast, and one of the things he said was, as they were filming this season, I think in his head he thought it might be his last season of Summer House because of the In the City was supposed to be kind of like their transition to, we're a couple, maybe we'll have kids soon, et cetera, et cetera. So now that he's like single, the way he was talking about it made me assume he wants to come back for another season of Summer House.
Got it.
If he can.
Mm-hmm.
A couple other things. So I mentioned all the reunion looks drop. Everybody looks pretty good. I think Ciara's the best dressed, obviously. I don't know. Did you look at any of their looks?
I did. I don't know. I'm not very fashion observant, so nothing stuck out to me. But
we can always talk about it more when the reunion actually airs.
Yeah.
I really liked Lindsay's look too. Also Dara and Mia's looks as far as the girls. They were who I was really paying attention to.
Yeah, I'm looking now. Yeah, Lindsay looks good. Carl looks kind of dorky, but he always does.
Yeah, as far as the guys, I like Jesse's suit. It was very classic. And KJ's suit is cool too. It's a little bit like oversized and more of a like fashion statement. Kyle is like going a little more casual. He didn't go the suit look this time.
I didn't recognize Bailey at first. She looks different.
Yeah.
Nothing else of note from me.
Okay. Only other thing I had was that, so I listened to the Trading Secrets podcast today that Kyle was on, and it was just interesting because he went into more depth of what was really going on, like financially with Loverboy and everything. And he talked about how, so at the like peak, they had about like 30 employees, but with alcohol distribution, it's really hard because you can't go like direct to consumer except for wine. Like that's the only category that lets you kind of like ship direct to consumer. You have to go through a distributor or wholesaler for all other types of alcohol. And so the brand got really popular quickly, but then it's like they don't have the manpower and the operations to kind of like support maybe some of the demand. So it's interesting. They are now at like 3 employees. What I found was the most interesting. So he said the reason he put 500 grand of his own money in was because they were kind of at a point where they needed to spend money to be able to continue to operate, and they were going to go under otherwise. So then he said basically this year in real time, like in March, right as this before this scandal broke, he was in the same exact position where he was like, we're out of cash. I either need to put my own money into this or we're going to go bankrupt. So he's trying to decide what to do. And then the scandal broke. And that was the same like week that the episode aired where he has like the conversation with Carl on his birthday about Loverboy, having financial troubles. And they got a like outpouring of people like being interested in buying merch and pre-ordering drinks and things. So he was basically saying that saved Loverboy for now.
Yeah, we kind of like hypothesized that
Yeah.
was going on, but it's interesting to hear him say like, the actual facts behind it.
Yeah.
It's pretty wild.
It is. And then he was also saying, he talked about this loan, this business loan that he's taken out that he's personally liable for.
Mhm.
And it was about a $4 million loan, but they still owe like 2.8 million in principal or something. So he said that the loan payment is 55 grand a month, like the minimum payment. And then he's like, with taxes and everything, like I basically have to make $100,000 a month to cover my loan payment because he's paying he's in a high tax bracket. So, people will say, oh, well, he has the show, he has influencing. Does he really need to do this whole DJ thing? Maybe he was right. Like, that was my takeaway.
Early on, we kind of talked about like, how does this get structured? Like, how much money do they make? Like, what do we think they actually like take home after, from just doing the show? Like, do they really need to do all these like side hustle kind of things? And at least for him, when you're in that much debt, like, yeah, you need a lot of side hustles. So,
right. And I think on the show, they really positioned this whole like Kyle being a DJ thing off the conversation that like Amanda talks about wanting to do something career-wise and wanting to start a bathing suit line maybe. And then for some reason, Kyle made that conversation about him. And it's like, well, I want to do something for me. I want to be a DJ. So the way that it was introduced to us as the audience was always kind of like him being competitive with Amanda and not like really listening to what she needs and saying he wants to do his thing. And then it's always been positioned as, well, now he's like never home and, she wants him to not go out as much and all of that. But I think it is really relevant that he's like, well, I'm doing everything and anything I can to generate cash flow. And this is a good way to do it. And it also pairs well with continuing to push Loverboy into the clubs that he's going and DJing at. So,
yeah. And there's a lot to get into in the episode itself. I just like, I catch myself too easily getting back to like his defense of like, oh, like this does all make sense. Cause like there's a lot of shitty stuff that he does. And like, it's not an excuse to like be like, oh, look, he does need a DJ, so he needs the money. So it's okay that he's going out drinking until 6 o'clock in the morning and staying at random people's apartments. Like he's done a lot of questionable things. We don't know everything for sure, but taking a step back, like maybe, some of us were too critical about like DJing as being so ridiculous of a thing to like try to pursue. So
yeah. I think he has had a lot of bad behavior and questionable choices, but not all of it has been completely wrong.
It's layered.
I guess.
Yeah.
It's layered. Yeah. I think he was unfairly getting a little bit too much heat from the cast about DJing.
Right.
Like I saw someone online was like, they're acting like him DJing is like a drug habit or something.
It's like an intervention, and he's like, guys, like this is just something I want to do. Like, yeah.
I think it's more about, is he using it as a way to like stay out late and not come home and whatever. But then, in this episode, he talks about how pretty sure Amanda doesn't want him there anyway. So that might have something to do with it too.
Right. Yeah.
Oh, I do have a confession to make.
Okay.
I was one of the people that pre-ordered some Loverboy.
Oh, did you?
A couple weeks ago.
So how does that work? Like, so they can't ship it to you though, right?
Their espresso martini and spritz product are technically made with a wine product, like a wine alcohol, even though he's like, it tastes like vodka. Maybe it's kind of like almost like a sake or something, but so technically the alcohol product in those two drinks is a wine. So they're able to, through that loophole, ship those two products direct to consumer.
Okay.
So I bought like a pack of the espresso martini and the spritz.
Hmm.
I also purchased a Summer Should Be Fun hoodie that I'm now waiting on as well.
Did you get me one?
Oh, I should have. Sorry.
We could have matched.
You might still be able to get one, but
That's
the
probably gonna be
lead
back
time
order.
is a little bit long. So we'll
Yeah,
see when we actually get this thing.
it's hilarious.
It was also interesting because he was saying one of the things about Loverboy is like it uses, it's low sugar and it uses really like clean ingredients.
Okay.
So the whole thing is like it's not gonna give you as bad of a hangover and stuff
Hmm.
and be healthier. But I feel like that message got lost along the way. Like I didn't realize that was like part of the brand.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like something's missing with the marketing because like we watch this show every week, and I know so little about the actual drink. But yeah, espresso martini, I would try that.
Yeah. Yeah. So I think my advice to him, since I have no experience in this industry, based on what he said, he should focus on the things that could go direct to consumer for now, I think.
Yeah, true.
But yeah, so those are my takeaways outside of this week's episode. Should we
Yeah.
dive into it? I have a lot to talk about. This is an intense episode.
Seriously.
It was like riveting. It was also hard to like keep up with everything that was happening because they kept doing the like split screen views, and when they were having like the fight, everybody's yelling over everybody. So
And I know you like to like pause it and kind of take notes and stuff. And there's a lot of dialogue. There's a lot to take in.
yeah. But yeah, so this week's episode, Full House. Why?
'Cause
Okay,
everybody
so
was there. I don't know. Was everybody
yeah,
there?
so it's
No,
so it's
Levi. Was Levi there?
She was.
Okay.
She
Yeah.
was.
So everybody was there.
Yeah, so we are here to talk about Summer House Season 10, Episode 15, titled Full House. Levi was, in fact, there.
She was sitting next to Kyle. How could I forget? Yeah.
Yeah. Remember her vagina was out?
Yeah. Yeah. She actually had a good episode.
So the episode picks up right where we left off with the Carl and Kyle fight. It's Saturday, August 30th at 10:09 p.m. Carl had kind of tried to calm Kyle down, but him jumping in just like escalated Kyle even more. And so like we see him following Kyle outside and being like, "What did I do? Like, why are you yelling at me?" And he talks about how, I mean, they have this like back and forth. I'm not gonna like be able to quote everything, but some of the takeaways, Kyle's like, "You bitched and whined all summer," and Carl's like, "All I did was support you." And he was like, "But thanks for your lack of support for me, you loser." And then Kyle's like, "Carl, fuck off, you fucking 6'5" motherfucker. You use height to your advantage." Because I think Carl was like standing over him.
Definitely
I
did
was
not
like,
want to
no.
actually fight him.
I thought it was funny. I'm like, this is the first time I've heard somebody like use how tall someone is as a like dig.
Right.
All the guys are like holding him back, and he's like, "What the fuck's wrong with you?" And like kind of like, hold me back," where it's like, I don't really think Carl would actually fight Kyle. I think he likes having the guys there to like hold him back.
I'm still confused because there was like blood at some point. Somebody must have just gotten like scratched a little bit or something like that.
It could have been totally unrelated to the fight.
Yeah.
He had a bloody
I
nose
guess.
earlier.
Right.
And so all the guys like go out. I did notice it seemed like Wes was like the last one to go outside. Like they show him like looking back at like the table of girls, like, do I have to go outside?
Yeah.
And eventually Amanda comes out, and I feel like Wes and Amanda kind of keep like sidebarring like during the fight. Like at some point they're like look at each other, and then at another point Wes comes up and like whispers something in her ear.
Mhm.
This is like
Oh, and
really weird.
We also didn't really hit on last episode about how West pulled up his chair next to her. They have some odd behavior kind of throughout this whole night.
Yeah, because after Kyle like calms down a little bit more and they go inside, there is a scene with Amanda and West. They hug. Amanda starts crying, but she's also like, you pulling up your chair next to me, like that really
Yeah.
like meant a lot. And she's like,
I
"Thank
love
you, I
you."
love you."
Yeah.
Yeah, that was strange behavior from two people that as far as we know, are not hooking up yet, supposedly.
Supposedly, I go back and forth. It feels like if I had to guess, this feels like the start of it. Like something's about to go down if it hasn't already. But I don't know.
Hmm. So finally, Amanda goes out there and she's like trying to quiet Kyle down. And he's like going on and on, like, I put more money into my business. That's why I didn't put money in your business, Carl. And she's kind of just like, stop. She's trying to put her hand over his mouth. Uh, at one point, Carl starts like walking back outside. And like Amanda's yelling at Kyle to shut up. And Kyle says, stop being a Vagisil. There were some really good nuggets from this fight.
Is this is this the point where Kyle says, "Yeah, like sorry, I forgot about his brother. I forgot about my dad's birthday last week."
That's what I was referring to as other good nuggets. Because West, of course, is like, West and Jesse are talking to Kyle. And he's like, I'm hurt by all the shit I heard that Carl's talking about me. Which is funny because like the fight, like the whole blow up started because of Lindsay being like Amanda's mouthpiece, going on and on about how Kyle's not being a good partner to her. And then it turns into him like fighting with Carl. And he's like, I forgot Carl is more fragile than a China doll. And Wes is like, well, he's also upset about, the whole thing with his brother. And that's when Kyle was like, I forgot my dad's birthday last week.
like in my defense, I also forgot my dad's birthday last week. Like digging himself deeper.
Yeah. And this is where Wes is like, you got riled up by Lindsay, not Amanda. And Kyle's like, okay, but it really felt like Lindsay was saying some stuff that Amanda probably said to her. And Wes is like, Amanda didn't say anything.
Yeah. Wes is very defensive of Amanda, yeah.
Yeah. So that was a little weird. And even if Amanda didn't like directly put Lindsay up to this conversation, because we didn't see anything. I mean, she's been telling Ciara certain things. The whole group kind of had a talk in the car about, on the way to the beach last week, about them maybe separating. So Lindsay probably brought it up off the back of that conversation, but I think Kyle's in the right to be like, it's kind of messed up that she's sitting there with this smug look on her face, like she's happy they're bringing all of these things up. He should never say F you to her. Absolutely not.
No.
But I understood why he felt completely, like, unfairly attacked.
Yeah. I think the general theme with Kyle is, like, you can understand why he would be upset, but you also can't excuse his reactions to being upset.
Yeah. His behavior is still very bad. Let me be clear. Him, like, throwing this tantrum and running outside and blowing up. He
describes it as, like, I'm looking over at Amanda. He's expecting some sort of like support, and instead she has this like goofy smile, like basically also like ganging up on him, but like in silence. So like in his mind, it's like he felt betrayed by like the one person that's supposed to stick up for him. And then her explanation of it was, I just stayed quiet because everything that you said was true and I agreed with. Like,
right.
So it's like, okay, these two are not meant to be together.
Right. Yeah, because throughout this kind of whole fallout of after the initial fight, Lindsay and Amanda talk, and Lindsay's like, oh, I feel bad for instigating. And Amanda's like, don't feel bad. You're not wrong in anything you said. And then I have a note, Chef Frank is still there. I feel like they should have given him a
confessional,
honorary confessional.
Yeah, that would have been great.
Yeah, and like Carl is talking with other people about how he's frustrated with Kyle, and he thinks Kyle might be throwing away his relationship for the DJing thing. And they're kind of like, oh, Carl, don't go back inside. But I think the fight's over, like it's fine. And we see, okay, so there's a bunch of like different conversations, and Lindsay starts talking with Kyle. She's like, I wasn't trying to rattle you. We were all thrown. No one knew about the Vegas residency. And Kyle's like, it's not a residency. I'm just signing with the management.
No, it wasn't. It was, this is my favorite part. It was Ben that said it. Ben, like out of nowhere, like you don't even realize he's there. And Ben's like, actually, and it's just like the dinner thing. It's like, actually, it's not a residency. This is just about management. It's like, thanks, Ben, for clarifying that. Anyway, Kyle.
Yeah. So yeah, then it's Kyle, Lindsay, and Ben have a conversation. And this is where Kyle kind of breaks down more and we kind of understand a little bit more like what he's actually feeling.
Mhm.
And he tells Lindsay about his conversation with Ciara on the beach about Amanda being open to like separating. And Kyle starts crying and talking about how he feels attacked and that he gets blamed for everything. And then he says, like, sorry, I'm a fucking mess, which is just funny because of the whole Carl's a mess thing that Kyle started after the scandal. So Kyle is really the mess. And Lindsay's like, okay, I get it, but stop saying fuck you to your wife. And Kyle's like, I feel like she deserted me. And then Lindsay's like, well, maybe she feels, deserted by you with your DJing and stuff. And then this is where Kyle goes, well, no sex for 7 years and no attention and no friendship and no partnership will probably wear someone down.
Yeah,
Which,
again, the 7-year thing. How long have they been? They've been married for 7 years, right?
no, so the beginning of this season, Amanda said they'd been married for 4 years. They've been off and on since beginning of the show, but they weren't like
Yeah.
dating exclusively or anything at first, but yes.
Yeah.
So
So hopefully it's an exaggeration because I would would hope at some point in their marriage that they've had sex, but
yeah, I don't know. It's weird. Because when Jesse said it, was it last episode? He was like, oh, I heard this
Yeah.
rumor from Carl,
yeah.
the rumor mill.
Said it's been years.
Yeah. I was like, oh, that, like, maybe it's like been 2 years or something
year.
where he's
Yeah.
like, years. But if it's 7 years, how did they even end up married?
Right. Who knows? Yeah. But again, I am kind of starting to, and I'm very cautious of using these words, but like get his side of some of these things.
Yeah. Yeah. It's very interesting thinking about where we started this season in and like frustrations with Kyle to like now.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is where like we see the start of kind of like throughout this episode, Ciara, West, and Jesse are kind of like all like buddy buddy and hanging out like all episode. And they're like, oh, this is so 2023. And Ciara's like, you're so back to West. And randomly there's a watermelon on the front porch. I don't know if you noticed it.
Saw the watermelon. Yeah.
And they show more scenes of like people on the front porch. And at one point Ciara like goes inside and Jesse's like, I'll watch the watermelon. But there's the it just made me think because there's the famous part of I don't know if it's season 1 or 2 where one of the twins slams down the watermelon because she's pissed at Carl and
Right.
smashes it in the house. So it's like, oh no, what's gonna happen? But nothing dramatic happened with the watermelon.
In that scene, there's this kind of like theme that I'm noticing with West's reactions to either Ciara or other people talking about Ciara and West's like relationship, and like he's uncomfortable with it being viewed as kind of like more than a friendship and stuff. So like when she said, "Oh, like we're so back," he kind of like made a weird facial expression and stuff like
Right.
that. It's just he looks visibly uncomfortable anytime anybody says like, "Ooh, like what if you guys became a thing?" and stuff. So
Yeah. Right. But then he still acts like he's into it.
right. I think a big part of the reason that like why Ciara let her guard down was like the flirting. And
Right.
she kind of
Realize like how much she missed his friendship and stuff.
right. So I think that's pretty unfair to be like, "Oh, I was flirting with you because I wanted to be friends with you again. I didn't actually want to have a relationship with you." Like it's just a lot of mixed messages and stuff, and I think
Totally.
it's again just leading her on.
Okay, so we do get a little bit of like Amanda's perspective. Like Lindsay recaps the conversation she had with Kyle, and Amanda's like, yeah, I told Ciara he wouldn't go for us separating. And then we see Amanda's confessional saying Ciara will say out loud what I'm thinking internally a lot of the times. And she's, just talking about how she's definitely considered separating, breaking up, divorcing, all the things. And she's like, him saying F you and being nasty to me makes me feel stupid. Why am I like still here in this relationship? But then like later we'll see her chatting with Ciara and Mia. But before that, Kyle is like talking about how he like needs to apologize to Carl immediately. So I was glad that they were like both immediately like, whoa, that was crazy. We need to make up.
Right. Carl could have been rightfully upset for longer, but
yeah,
he was pretty quick to forgive. So
yeah,
it's good on him.
So Kyle and Carl have a conversation, and Kyle's like, we're gonna squash this right now. And they're both like immediately like, I love you, I'm sorry. And Kyle's like, I'm sorry. And Kyle starts crying, and Carl's like, I'm sorry, I made it worse. And Kyle's like, I feel like you needed to get it out though. And they start laughing. So it was actually it was a pretty funny like scene with them kind of both being like, I don't know what happened.
Yeah, they like high-fived and hugged like 100 times and stuff. I did think it was interesting because probably like the most significant dialogue. I don't know. There was a few things that they said, but one of my takeaways was Carl being like, look, I really don't give a shit about the investment thing. Like that got blown out of proportion. Like I don't care about that, because I think that's something that I think Jesse's kind of like instigate. Maybe Jesse feels like cool that he invested or whatever. So he's kind of like holding this thing over Kyle's. I don't know what that dynamic is, but he's brought it up multiple times, and then it's in front of other people and in private. Like he was like, oh, like the email thing. So I don't know what he's getting at, but I think Kyle, that's kind of been boiling up, and he's like, why is this investment thing such a big deal? And in their fight, he was like shouting about it and stuff like that. So I think it was good that Carl kind of said like, I just want you to know, like, I really don't care about that. Like we can move past that. So
yeah. And then Kyle talks about, I don't really know how I got so mad at you, because they're both like, I don't even remember like what I said. And he's like, I was taking bullets and Amanda was eating it up. That's why I said F you. I can't remember the last time she stood up for me. And Carl's like, I understand it feels like you're being attacked, but like, did she know you were going to like the Vegas thing? And he's like, yes, she knows. And he's like, was she upset by it? And Kyle, like, I thought this whole conversation was super interesting, and was like interesting to see a little more like of Kyle's perspective, because he's like, she's not upset. Like, I think she loves it when I leave. I think she can't stand me. And Carl's like, that's really sad. Then he kind of shares about the conversation with Ciara about potentially separating. And Carl's like, wow, that's really heavy. I didn't realize you were going through that. Kyle says, sorry, I've been a mess all summer. And Carl's like, I'm sorry, I didn't want to make it worse. And then this is when they talk about, Kyle was like, yeah, in the fight, I don't really remember what I said or what you said. I was like, just don't fucking dent my car. Carl's like, yeah, I remember being close to your car and thinking, oh, he's going to be really mad if I scratch his car. And then, so they squash it, and they come and they like tell the house, like, we're good. And everyone's like, cool, cool, cool. Jesse's like, great, now you got to apologize to Amanda. And Kyle's like, do I have to?
Yeah. His face, like the pause and like the face and everything, he's like, oh man, shit. Like I thought I was like done. Like I gotta go talk to her now. Like you did say fuck you to your wife.
Yeah. And so Amanda has been in bed like chatting with Mia and Ciara, and she's like, you know, Ciara and Mia are kind of like, this is totally unacceptable that he would like talk to you like that. And Amanda's like, if I like take myself out of the situation and imagine like my friend being in the same position, I would be like, you're insane that you're putting up with this, kind of like, these aren't the exact words, but kind of paraphrasing. Then it was like super awkward because Kyle comes in and starts to kind of like, he's like, can I talk to you or whatever to Amanda? And then they just start talking with Mia and Ciara right there.
She doesn't offer to like, hey, let's go talk or anything like that.
Yeah. So fair, like she's upset and maybe she's not ready to talk yet. But maybe she should have just said, I'm not ready to talk yet.
Yeah. She eventually said that, but yeah, she could have led with that. And in his defense, he didn't want to go in there in the first place. Like,
yeah.
maybe he wasn't ready for that yet either.
True.
You know? So like, but they were like, you got to go talk to her. And he's like, okay, like now I look like an asshole if I don't go in there because everybody's saying you need to apologize to her. So it was a forced, I think he knew that he needed to apologize at some point, but it was a forced apology in that moment.
Yeah. I felt like he should have just waited until she was not
Yeah.
in the room with the three of her two friends.
Or he could have just said, like,
With
look, I know we need to talk. Like, I
yeah,
don't mean to
when you're
interrupt you
ready, let me
guys.
know.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. I
Yeah.
think that would have been a better way to handle it. But he like jumps in and he's like, I was excited to tell you about like the Vegas thing and it got so misunderstood, but you let everyone attack me and you had this smug look on your face. And I'm sorry for saying what I said. I was actually really excited and wanted to sign, whatever, the contract with you or whatever. And Amanda's like, it's not even about the DJ stuff. And then Kyle's like, okay, well, I don't know what it's about anymore. And that's when Amanda says, I think I just need some time. And so Kyle like kind of walks out and he's like, it's been a long time since I felt like we were on the same team. It wears me down. It hurts. So Kyle leaves and then Amanda to like Mia and Ciara, she's like, where was the apology? And, he did have an apology in there, but
He kind of led with, I'm sorry.
yeah, but
yeah,
he,
it's the
yeah,
I'm
I think
sorry, but apology again.
yeah, yeah. I think probably everybody is also in the house is feeling like he owes them an apology
Mm-hmm.
because of the way that he like exploded and blew up.
Right.
So I'm sure both Mia and Ciara are also kind of just like, not right now, Kyle.
Yeah.
But
they were making facial expressions too. So
yeah,
it was like, he could tell that he was not, I mean, we could tell that he was not welcome in there. So,
right. So yeah, it was a little bit weird. I kind of like see Kyle's perspective of like he was trying to start a conversation, but it was like not the right time. He should have just waited.
Yeah, I agree.
So then, okay, so this was interesting because Kyle, again, is this when he was like in his closet talking to himself?
Yeah.
He's like, I think she roots for anybody against me. I don't think she wants a single thing to do with me. And I think she's too scared to get out of it because she can't do anything herself. That's what I'm starting to think, which was, I feel like that's the closest we've gotten to like Kyle kind of airing his side of
right.
it a little bit more.
Yeah, that moment stuck out for me. I was like, okay, and I do think he genuinely, it's like the couples therapy thing where it's like he's not a he's not a perfect person by any stretch of the imagination, but the one thing that I will say for him is I do think he's hopeful, and it clicked for him. Like, she's too scared to tell me that she wants a divorce, but she does.
Yeah, she's too scared to get out of it.
Yeah.
Like, and she can't do anything. Like, if she gets out of it, does that mean she's not on reality TV? Or if she gets out of it, like, is it just because it's like something hard and she doesn't do hard thing? Like, I don't know. But
yeah, that's interesting.
it does.
Yeah, I didn't think about that.
Him saying like she can't do anything for herself or whatever. I don't know if that's true, but some of that kind of does track with the behavior we've seen over the last few months.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
Okay. And then everybody is like getting ready to go out still. And Carl is in the kitchen. He's handling the watermelon now. And Kyle's gonna go out, which is a little bit weird after everything that's transpired. And Amanda walks in and Kyle's like, you want to come out?
Yeah. She just like walks right past him into the closet and he's like, are you coming out?
Yeah. She's like, what? You're gonna go out? You don't want to say anything? And he's like, well, I tried to talk to you upstairs. And Amanda's like, well, you were talking about yourself. Like, I think what she's saying is like, because he was like, oh, well, I was excited to tell you about like my thing and whatever. And then gives more of a like extended apology. He's sorry for what he said, for saying F you, for ruining the night. And Amanda's like, that's not what you should be sorry for. And then Kyle's like, well, I'm sorry for losing my shit, but I've been at my breaking point all summer long. And then Amanda's like, and I haven't been, but you can't express yourself unless you're screaming. And he's like, that's not true. I don't know, like Kyle shouldn't explode, but he also does have conversations with her too that are like not just him exploding. Like we see him trying to talk to her about things. So who knows?
Yeah, they're just kind of like talking past each other. and he's not a very good apologizer.
No.
um, but like he does list out all the things that he's sorry for, and it's like
Yeah.
never enough. And then she's like, "You just make it about yourself," and then she talks about herself like
Right.
immediately after. So it's like they're just both kind of like hypocritical, overly judgmental, and it's just they don't ever have a productive conversation, let alone
Yeah.
fight.
Yeah. It's like they're so broken, it's kind of pointless.
Yeah, yeah,
Uh, so yeah, it was a little bit of a choice that he decided to go out. I think it was kind of like he was still mad at her, so he's kind of just like, screw it, I'm going out.
yeah. I think it's like the damage is done there, but I just at least I just saved my friendship with Carl. Let's go celebrate that. I don't know.
Yeah. Uh, okay, so everybody goes out, and then at 1:35 a.m., Kyle, Ben, and Carl get back, and I noted that the door to the summer house is broken again,
Yeah,
finally. So it feels like real summer house now that the door is actually having issues. And then so Carl and Ben go to bed, and then at like 2:06 a.m., Ciara, KJ, Mia, Dara, Levi, and Bailey get back. And Kyle is just like standing in the kitchen in his underwear and a
and like
t-shirt.
Sierra cracks up, but like they don't explain it or talk about it or anything. They just move on to the next scene. Yeah,
Yeah. That was probably the best like scene of the episode.
yeah. So, Kyle, Ben, and Carl, they came back earlier and everything. Kyle said something about like, oh, I was gonna come just Uber home by myself, but like I appreciate you guys like tagging along with me or something like that. So I don't know what that was supposed to mean. Like,
Oh,
was his
because
version of coming home
he
for
was,
Amanda coming home at
yeah,
1:30?
so he was saying like, oh, I was just gonna come back myself, but thanks for leaving early with me too. Um,
Like 20
and then
minutes
he
earlier.
like, yeah, he like says, oh yeah, sorry, Amanda. Like as soon as I got out, I was like, I shouldn't be here, and I decided to like come home.
Yeah.
But I mean, everybody was going out at like midnight, and then he gets back at 1:35. So it's not like he walked into the bar and turned around and left. Like
Right. Yeah. I don't
he's
know.
like, oh, I stayed for an hour and then was like, yeah, I shouldn't be here.
Yeah. That's good behavior for Kyle. Is like,
Sure.
I only went out for like an hour and a half.
He
So,
left 30
I,
minutes before everyone else, so
right. Yeah.
he's starting over a new leaf.
Yep. Baby steps.
Uh, and then everybody's like, well, not everybody, but Jesse, Wes, Sierra, Kyle are all doing their late night snacking in the kitchen. And we get an interesting exchange because Jesse's asked Kyle where he's planning on sleeping. Like, is he going to sleep in the same room with Amanda? And he's like, in my
Again,
bed,
stirring the pot.
bitch.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Kyle's like, where are you trying to sleep? And Jesse's like, next to West. And then Kyle goes, imagine if Jesse was like, yo, I was trying to sleep with your wife. And then the camera like pans on West,
He's
and like
not
not
smiling.
only he doesn't like react at all, he doesn't laugh, like, which normally I feel like he would immediately be like, oh, like good one
Yeah.
or whatever.
Right.
And Jesse's just like, yeah, I would never say that. But that was super suspicious
What?
behavior.
Yeah. Because like I don't know. It's it's not like it's like a hilarious joke that like you have to laugh at. Like you can't not find it funny, but like it's either funny or awkward. Like you should react in some way. I feel like it's a
Yeah.
little bit strange that he just like is just like deadpan. I don't know.
hmm And then the other interesting part of this, like Jesse West Sierra hangout, they all kind of are like going up to bed at the same time. And then they're like in West and Jesse's room. And Jesse's like, oh, want to sleep over? And he's like, you can sleep in West's bed. West can sleep in my bed with me. And West is like, what? And Sierra's like, reiterates what Jesse said. Um, and Wes is like, who's following that rule? Not me, like joking, like, I would sleep in bed with you if you slept in here. And then he's like, prank, 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 prank. Like, I'm joking. So, to your point of him, like, on the one hand, acting weird, anybody's like, oh, you guys are seeming chummy. And then acting like he's interested in her
Yeah.
as more than a friend.
Right. I don't know how to read it. I don't know what's going on anymore.
Yeah. Okay. Well, so I guess it's Labor Day weekend. So, it's a 3-day weekend. So I guess that's why they arrived on Saturday last episode. And so everybody wakes up on Sunday, August 31st, and we find out they're going to have a party. Oh, West does have a good quote. He says, "Imagine being a snake." So
Yeah.
a little foreshadowing there. Yeah, I had a couple notes from Jesse and West's conversation. Like they joke, like I think West says, like, "Did anything happen last night?" Like
Yeah.
joking. And Jesse's like, "Well, I enjoyed all of like us hanging out again, like him, West, Ciara." And it was interesting because Jesse kind of also brings up, sorry if he like made it uncomfortable earlier in the summer
Make
asking
out
about
stuff.
like
Yeah.
the makeout with Ciara. But the point of note I had was that West in this conversation goes, "I wonder how Amanda's doing,"
Yeah.
randomly, like more in
Out of
reference to
nowhere. Yeah.
the fight. So then that's when they talk about, the separation comment. Because I think, was it maybe West asked that, or I don't know who asked that. But they have this conversation, and it was interesting because West says, "I think space would be fantastic for both of them." And then Jesse's like, "Yeah, but, them separating would be like a step toward them breaking up. Like, it's not going to like
Right.
save the relationship."
Yeah. And he's talking about like in the context of like, oh, like that would be a sad thing for them to break up and stuff. And West is definitely is not verbalizing that kind of same sentiment. So who
Right.
knows?
Yeah. So then we learn that it's going to be the last party of the summer. It's going to be an Aprés Ski dream party hosted by Ciara. And she's like, this is going to be an awesome party. There's a lot of work to do. So we learned there's going to be like ice luges, igloos. There was like a fake ski slope that they put the cardboard cutouts on. I also noticed there was like a wooden sauna in the
Okay.
yard, like one
Okay.
of those ones that looks like a big round barrel
Oh,
that
the
you get
barrel
into.
kind. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Sabrina also shows up to be there. And she's like all over Jesse and Ciara when she comes in, giving them hugs and stuff. This is random, but I've noticed she keeps showing up, like her outfits she keeps showing up in to the summer house in the middle of summer. She's like wearing boots. It's a very
Nice.
odd choice. Very random, but odd choice. So while they're setting up, KJ and Mia have a nice heart to heart, and they're like, "Oh, how are you feeling about summer almost being over?" And KJ's a little bit nervous, because I think just because he's been loving the connections that he's made over the summer, and he's like, how everything's gonna change once the summer ends. But then it was interesting. Him and Mia talk about like hanging out over the holidays, which was really cute and sounds fun. I'm like, I want to like, can we
Invite.
get like cameras? Well, can we get an invite, but
Oh,
also can we get cameras picked back up for this? Like, I want to
yeah.
see this spin-off.
Like the KJ Mia Sierra holiday special.
Yeah. And
It's
then
really
yeah, Mia,
sweet. Yeah.
yeah, and Mia talks about how grateful she was this summer, like to have an opportunity to kind of step out of her regular life and like feel and grieve and things. But this reminds me one thing that I didn't mention that I saw today on social media. KJ posted a picture, and apparently his mom and Mia's sister were friends in college. And there's a picture of like
No way.
KJ as a little baby with with his mom and Mia's sister. So I don't think they realized that the way that like it was posted, Mia like commented on it, but I'm assuming that when they first met, they didn't realize that like they had this connection,
Interesting.
which
It's like
was
a small
cool.
world kind of thing.
I think so. Made me curious, like what is the age difference between Mia's sister and her? And then because I think Mia's like 8-ish years or so older than KJ. So I
Oh,
mean, if they were in college and they were like 19 or 20 or something, then that wouldn't be that huge of an age, like 12-year
yeah.
age difference for Mia or something. But I
Right.
just want to know more. It
Yeah.
was cool though. It was really cool.
Hopefully they'll cover it in the holiday special.
Yeah. Oh, okay. So then another interesting conversation. Lindsay, West, and Jesse are chatting, and Lindsay was like, "Oh, like how about when Ciara said you're the person she loves the most, like at the Lost and Found dinner."
Mhm.
And then we get this like really weird conversation, like confessional from West.
Yeah.
I don't really know. Like it's at this point it's getting to be really obvious what he's doing. And it's really disgusting.
I agree, but in a way, it's also kind of consistent with what he's doing on on the show. It's hard to marry up the two, but like, I, I don't know. I can't and don't want to get inside of his head, but it feels like even in real time on the show that he does not want to be in a at least serious relationship with Ciara, and I think he doesn't want to be enemies with her, and he wants to be viewed as like a good guy. So like that was ruining his perception that he
Right.
felt like people were giving him. So like he felt like he needed to squash the beef and all that. But like I other than the flirting, which again is like a selfish thing to do with an ex-girlfriend that you are should not be leading on, especially when she's like so sensitive to that and everything. But I don't get the sense that he actually wants to be in a relationship with her. Um, just because he's like so weirded out by everybody giving them the attention. I don't know.
So I can't believe this made me think of something also that I saw that I forgot to mention online. So they also today, as a part of like the NBC upfronts, showed like a quick clip of the reunion. And there's a conversation. It's like Kyle, Sierra, Ben, Lindsay, Carl, I think, like all huddled. And Kyle's like, I really want to focus on West's ease of lying. We
Yeah.
know that he's been in a relation, like that he had a full blown exclusive
Committed
relationship
relationship. Yeah.
since February of 2025. We have the receipts. So
Right.
this whole season that's being aired right now took place over summer 2025. The girl that he was like in this exclusive relationship with, I guess, was the one that makes the like horsehair ties.
Okay.
So everything that he's doing with Sierra or not with Sierra, he's also in a exclusive relationship with somebody else right now, or at least
Right.
he's told somebody else they're in an exclusive relationship.
Shit. Okay. So calculating. Of course. So then he would be he's flirting with her because he's a dick and he's like flirtatious and leading people on and stuff like that. But then when it's verbalized and people are like, "Oh, like maybe you guys will be a thing," he's like, "Oh no, 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 like I can't say that I have a girlfriend, but I should also say that I don't want Ciara to be my girlfriend." So he's like trying to like manage
Yeah.
all these different things so he
And
can't.
why can't he say that he has a girlfriend just because he wants
Yeah,
Sierra to
why
just
not?
be interested in him?
Could maybe because that's better for his status on the
Image.
show.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's crazy. And that's not the same girl that he made out with, right?
No. Also, like,
Okay.
ugh,
Yeah, that doesn't look good either.
that's none of it looks good.
No.
But yeah,
Okay. Crazy.
it just adds to this whole dynamic of him acting one way with Sierra and then
Yeah.
in his confessional being like, oh, I'm just like a little boy. I don't know. It's a lot to process. Oh, poor me. Woe is me. Like, get out of here.
Yeah.
If
Yeah,
he
no, that
like pulls this whole like, oh, it's just too much to process thing like one more time, I think I'm gonna scream.
yeah. Yeah, no, that's good context. I think that definitely explains a lot.
Yeah. Uh okay, so the party does start. Everybody like gets ready. It's interesting because like everybody looks like I feel like for the most part everybody went the like hot ski bunny route for the party. Which side note, it's like a great party theme for the summer that's like different because it's like winter, but everyone can still wear bathing suits, so you're not like too hot. So
Right.
and
Where they
everybody's like looks hot, like pretty
yeah.
smart. However, somehow Amanda decided.
To go a
She's like
different route.
gonna be a snowball. I had like a moment of horror when she's like doing her makeup and they show her like she had like white lips
Yeah.
or something. Like it's so creepy.
Yeah. It's a strange choice, but I don't know. It's easy to pile on now, knowing what we know, but I know like her and Ciara and everything, like a lot of times they go for like the goofy costumes when everybody else is doing like
Yeah,
something else.
true.
So
But I mean, really,
it was
like
weird.
Ciara goes for the goofy costumes. So
Yeah.
is Amanda trying to just like be Ciara?
Right.
I don't know. She's like
I don't know.
trying to do her shtick. It's like I don't know if does Amanda have her own identity? Like I don't think she does because when Paige was still in the house, I feel like she was really like you know adjacent to Paige in the bed, whatever.
Yeah.
Now Ciara is like going out more, so Amanda's going out more. I don't know. It
Yeah.
could be totally unrelated, but
No, I think that's a valid point.
I don't think she. I mean, maybe this is why she's in such a mess. I don't really think she knows who she is.
Yeah. She probably needs time away from the show.
Yeah, maybe she'll get that.
So she probably will. Although it would, can you imagine if her and West came on the show next year?
I
That would
don't
be
think they
wild.
would. I don't think they
No.
both will, at least. I don't think they'll both be asked back. All right. So we just get like the start of the party, but Ciara kicks off the party. She's like, "It's the last party of the summer, but don't get too drunk. We're going out tonight." A couple other things like Matt and Katie show up again, the like Amanda's friends, but they're also on In the City, or at least Katie is. And then Andrea and Lexi also show up, and they're also on In the City. So it's like, they're continuing
Another,
to
yeah.
soft launch.
Yeah. So now it's a
Uh,
medium launch. Yeah.
yeah. Okay, so then like the episode just wraps up with them going back and forth. One, a conversation with Dara and West, and then another conversation with Jesse and Ciara. And Dara is like, "Oh, maybe, who knows? Maybe one day you and Ciara will kind of end up together when you're ready." And West looks very skeptical when
Yeah.
she's saying that.
Yeah.
And then Jesse and Ciara are having a conversation and kind of like debriefing the summer. And Jesse's like, "The summer felt good except when you were mad at me." So he's like, that was my low point. My high point was you and Wes making up and us kind of being back as a three musketeers thing. But then Jesse does ask, have you and West had a conversation about just being friends? Kind of like the conversation you had with me when I was like, "Oh, I might like you." And Sierra's like, "No, we haven't." I thought it was funny that Jesse was like, "Is it because you haven't had the conversation, or because you like being flirty, like you want to be more than friends?" And she's like, "More the latter. Like it's fun being flirty." And she says she's seen him make some changes, but she's scared. And like, are we actually going to be friends, or are we just going to be friends like in the summer house? And then is he going to like disappear after filming?
Yeah.
And that's where it ends.
Yeah.
But I thought it was a good, I liked that in this case, Jesse was stirring the pot and asking that question.
Yeah. In this moment, I thought that was actually a really good, like a well-timed question to ask and everything. So, and it was interesting, like the juxtaposition of that conversation and then the West conversation, because it's like Ciara's like hopeful, like I don't know, maybe it could be something, and West is like, no,
Really
I don't
not.
think it will be something.
Yeah. Yeah. It just kind of drives home the point that he's playing her again immediately.
Yeah. Yep.
Okay. So we do see some scenes this week. It's not a to be continued. So the party continues. We get a sit down with Carl and Lindsay chatting about their breakup and whatever Lindsay's been holding on to from that time. And then we see that Wes and Ciara kiss. So again, Wes can go F himself for all he wants to say about him not
Wanting
being
to,
interested
yeah.
in Ciara,
Yep.
but then making out with her.
Right.
or at least kissing her. And then we do see that Amanda and Kyle seem to have a heart to heart, and she says something like something is fundamentally wrong and needs to change. And that's where the scenes end. So do you want to get into superlatives since we've been talking for way too long already?
Yeah, let's do it. I think it's your turn first.
Okay. So my red flag, there's a lot, but the one I picked was Kyle saying they haven't had sex for 7 years,
Yeah.
but they have only been married for 4. Like, who gets married? Like, if you're already like not having sex when you get married, like, why are you getting married?
Right. Yeah, I'm curious about the literal translation of that timeline. I want to know more about that from
Yeah,
Kyle
same.
because that's not okay. Yeah, it's not okay.
I mean, Kyle having a big tantrum and blowing up is also a red flag, but this is just the
Yeah,
one that I picked.
yeah. I'm gonna say the hug and thank you for pulling your chair up and defending me and I love you and that whole exchange when like nobody else is around or looking and stuff like that. It just felt a little bit too intimate and on the nose.
Yeah, they've been acting really shady.
Yeah.
There's okay, so even if they have a friendship, it's to me it has crossed the line from a platonic relationship to something more in the like way that they act, even if they're not physically hooking up at this point, the way that I am just reading their body language in the situation. That's my opinion, but I think
Yeah.
they're having some sort of emotional affair already.
Yeah. Yeah, it's everything about it just feels more than friendship every time they kind of like interact with each other. So,
Mm. Yeah, it's not, at least it's not how I act with friends of the opposite sex. But
yeah. Everybody's different. I don't know.
yeah.
But yeah, it just feels a little too much.
Okay. MVP. This was hard.
Yeah. I have like 4 that I wrote down.
Same. This was too hard, but I'm gonna go Carl as my MVP because, him and Kyle had the fight, but he was able to quickly like calm down and apologize. And I liked the moments with him and Kyle and him like learning more about what Kyle's really going through. And they had some funny moments, they had some touching moments, and I felt like it was just an important part of the storyline. And
No, I agree. I think the arc of Carl in this episode of like being like aggressive and like fighting and stuff like that and then like being able to squash it and move on and everything. I thought you see a lot of like his character kind of like come through in that
yeah,
episode. So
yeah, seemed like as even though Kyle and him have had their challenges this summer, they're definitely still like there for each other and real friends. So it was nice to kind of see that them coming back together in the scene where they made up.
mhm.
Who was your MVP?
I don't want to pick Kyle. I feel like that's just too ridiculous. So I'm gonna
I thought about it as well.
yeah,
Not gonna
I
lie.
I will say the show was entertaining tonight because of
Yes.
Kyle. So he deserves a shout out for that at least. I'm gonna this I don't know, just for very small snippets or whatever, but I'm going KJ.
Okay.
I liked the little conversation with Mia, like by the side of the pool and stuff like that, and like summer's winding down, and he's starting to get kind of like emotional and nostalgic about these times that they've had together and stuff like that. So I don't know. I don't have to have a reason. I picked KJ.
Yeah. That reminds me. I think there was a like right after the fight, a conversation with Carl and KJ, and it sounded like I don't know if at some point KJ was like getting in the mix, like holding him back or yelling at Kyle or something, because they kind of like talked about that. I wanted to see more of that,
Yeah.
but I didn't have time to like rewind to go back to the fight to see if like they actually showed what he was talking about.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. They're like Bailey had some funny moments, like with the I don't know, it was kind of corny and stuff, but like she was like, oh, like I didn't hate when Carl was, getting all aggressive and stuff, but and then Ciara's probably gonna get it next week from both of us, so I saved her. Yeah.
Bailey had a good moment too when Lindsay was like, can you see my camel toe? And Bailey's like, yes, I could see your whole vagina. I could draw it.
Yeah. It's good.
Okay. And then sandwich rating. This was hard. I think I'm going 4.25 sandwiches. Like really strong first half of the episode with the fight and that a lot of like interesting conversations and getting insights into how Kyle is really feeling and his side of the story and stuff. And then there was a lot of like other little like interesting scenes with Jesse and West and Ciara, but yeah, giving it 4.25 sandwiches. I wanted to give it like I was like, oh, maybe this will be a 5 sandwich episode for me, kind of with the fight and everything, but
yeah, we were looking forward to that moment for a while.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was kind of torn too. I feel like maybe I went too low. I said 4. I thought it was a good episode, and it's kind of like it cooled off like pretty quickly. So like the drama seemed, and I think you kind of predicted that earlier in the season where it's like they are hyping this fight up to be like this big, kind of apex of the season and everything. And like, maybe it'll just end up being nothing. And it kind of was that. Like it was an interesting fight, but it didn't last very long. But no, I thought it was a good episode. Next week's looks like it should be pretty good with the continuation of the party and stuff like that. And I'm anxious to see that Carl and Lindsay conversation. So should be good.
Yeah.
Really, we just want to see the reunion. We just got to skip forward to that.
Just got to get to the reunion.
Yeah.
All right.
On to the next one.
Yeah.
All right. See ya.
All right. Bye. If you enjoyed this episode, make sure to follow the show on Apple Podcasts or wherever you listen and leave us a rating and review.
And if you have questions you want answered this season,
send them our way because chances are Pat's wondering the same thing.